This is One-on-One. Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato, back. I mean, really by popular demand, Dr. Donald Sebastian, Senior Vice President for Research and Development at NJIT. Let's get right into this. We were talking before we got into the air, and I want you to jump right into this. Big on partnerships overseas.
Sure.
What's going on in China? Why is it relevant to folks here, and how does it relate to jobs?
So you can imagine that in a school like ours, technical schools have historically had students who come from Asia, from India, from Taiwan when I was in school, and then when we opened up the doors to mainland China. Increasingly, those students have gone back home. As opposed to entering our workforce, there have been great opportunities for them to join and become industrial leaders and governmental leaders back home. And we're now beginning to find an opportunity to reap the advantage of having those kinds of relationships with international firms. And so you now have China as a booming economy that's looking to get smart, to be innovative in areas, not just be the producer of commodity materials or even like an iPhone, the producer of high-end materials to somebody else's specifications, but to be a thought leader as well.
Give us a concrete example.
Yeah, well, so an example that we're working with, we just signed an agreement with the China South Rail Company. Now,
the China South Rail Company.
Yes, CSR is their acronym. We know that China is developing a nationwide bullet train.
We're actually looking at the signing right there.
There you go. 200-mile-an-hour trains. You know, imagine. I think it's great to be able to take the Acela from Newark to Washington and get there.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but these will go arguably twice as fast.
Twice as fast?
Twice as fast. Right? They already have Acela-like trains all over the place. So this is a huge opportunity, and they're looking for us now not to help them make better bullet trains. They know how to do that. That's their business. But how can they start to integrate other kinds of technical competencies that move it up yet another notch? So for example, they're interested in the infusion of wireless communications. Not just, although it's certainly important, for customer satisfaction. So you can sit in the lounge and stream videos to entertain you as you're whistling from Beijing to Shanghai. But there's also the whole infrastructure of the train itself and the train system.
What does that mean, infrastructure of the train
For
itself?
example, so we all know our cars these days, right, are highly instrumented. We used to be able to flip up the hood and do stuff ourselves, and now it's all computer controlled. Well, now imagine if you now have a system that you want to control that's, what, 5, 10 cars long, whistling along at 190 miles an hour. The idea that you can take electronics, and not just sensors, but computers down to little tiny dime-sized things, that you could have everything electronically and computer controlled. Wireless communications becomes a very important technology to allow you to make all those interconnections. So now a computer in the cockpit not only helps you connect back to the central scheduling depot, connect to the external signaling technologies, let the station know whether you're on time or behind schedule, but also becomes an important element of how you control the entire braking systems, the HVAC systems, the power systems, all of the sophistication that's necessary to keep that thing on the track whistling where it should go from point of origin to destination.
But here's the tricky part. I'm sure people are blown away by what you're saying. I am. I'm stunned by the potential, and you're just scratching the surface. Now, the question becomes, bringing it back home, someone says, okay, so what does that mean to us here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Where's the impact for us, you say?
Well, so that's well put. And one of the reasons we pursue these things so vigorously is we think there are huge opportunities to be developing jobs here in the United States for producing those sorts of things that make no sense.
Explain how that would work.
Well, you don't have to look any farther than what you probably have in your garage. So many of the cars on the road now have Japanese automotive manufacturer nameplates, Korean automotive manufacturer nameplates, European. BMW, Volkswagen of America, they produce in the Carolinas. Honda, Nissan, Toyota, they all produce in the United States. So those cars are being built with parts made in American machine shops, assembled by Americans being employed by factories here in the United States. The same opportunities exist as we start to see things grow in China, where the products are no longer gadgets in Walmart or more expensive electronics like the iPhones that we wear on our hip that are assembled there and can be stuck into containerized shipping, and thousands of them can come into the port in one shot. Now you talk about locomotives, or as we may talk in another relationship, large-scale building construction materials. These are things that really need to be produced much closer to the point of consumption. And that's where we would have opportunities to develop the relationships and the partnerships so those companies begin to source their materials and do their production here in the States.
But doctors, does that also relate, you talked about building materials. I also know you're doing a lot of research around solar.
Great.
Explain to us the potential there, the partnerships there, and relate it back again to jobs.
Okay, so another relationship like the locomotive relationship that was born out of an alum who went back home and became successful. Jingong Pan, Dr. Pan, was an electrical engineering graduate who went back to China and became the CEO of a company that produces raw materials that go into next generation solar cells. We call it thin film technology.
Thin film technology.
Right? The important point is that it doesn't require deposition on a glass plate like what we see on roofs and in solar fields now.
Are these shingles for homes?
Yeah, yeah. So the idea is it can be on a flexible backing or substrate. And you now can have, as you're seeing in the picture, examples like Spanish roof tile or the conventional asphalt shingle form factor, which is producing energy. And you go one step beyond that and you can begin to think, well, if I can do that, why not solar siding and solar shutters and solar windows? And in a sense, anything that's exposed to the sun can join into the fray for producing solar energy. When I first went over almost 3 years ago now.
This is in China.
In China, to meet with various partners of this company, I began to see a strategy that they were forming around what is now referred to as building integrated photovoltaics. Much like we just described, the idea that everything exposed to the sun becomes a partner in producing energy, but more importantly, also distributed energy management. So instead of smokestacks in Kearney, or windmills off the shore, or a solar field instead of a brownfield, and having to then pipe all that energy through high tension lines, ultimately down to what comes into your home, you now think about a strategy in which intelligence in the system is managing what you're producing and using in your house and sharing with your neighbors and moving on down the line.
Don, you see this down the road?
Oh, absolutely.
How far down the road?
Well, the possibilities are there. If you look at your telephone poles today in New Jersey, you'll see an experiment in distributed energy generation that is a partnership with our utility PSE&G and Petrosolar, a New Jersey-based company.
You don't think it's that far away?
It's all possible. It's all possible now.
Don Sebastian, Dr. Sebastian, I want to thank you for joining us and telling us not only what's possible, but what is very likely, but R&D is the key and continuing partnerships. Thank you, Don.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Keep educating us.
Thanks for having me back.
Stay right there. One-on-one will continue right after this. Amazing stuff.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, the law firm of Gibbons PC, Cohn Resnick, and by New Jersey Natural Gas. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System. This program has been made possible in part by New Jersey Institute of Technology.